Hey guys, so today I'm gonna go through a recipe that is actually a 2-for-1 kind of deal. It's a pretty basic yeast dough that actually serves really great as a base for a dinner roll and also a really nice cinnamon roll. So you can make this, day one, use it for dinner, and then have something ready for breakfast. So that's the idea for today. And all right, let's get started with the ingredients. All right, so the ingredients, we're gonna have 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of whole milk, 1/3 cup of warm water with a pinch of sugar in it, 2 eggs, a little less than half a cup of sugar, half a packet of yeast, and 2/3 stick of butter. So the first thing that we're gonna do actually is we're gonna take the yeast and we're gonna put it in the warm water. That's gonna need a little bit of time to hydrate and bloom and kind of wake up. So I'm actually gonna give this a stir, and then we're gonna set this aside. While that's starting to work, we're gonna warm up the milk in a saucepan, and once that comes to just below a simmer, we're gonna add the butter, and we're gonna allow that to mix in as well, to melt in, and then we're gonna add the sugar and let that kind of cool off to the side. All right, so I'm gonna get this yeast incorporated. I'm gonna get my milk heated up on just a really low temperature, and then we'll meet you back here. All right, see you soon. You can see that the yeast is starting to foam at the top. It's not quite ready, but you can see that it's starting to get moving. So I have the milk in the saucepan getting warmed up, and once we're ready, I'll meet you back here. So our milk came up to just below a simmer. It was starting to kind of bubble right around the edges. So from here, I'm gonna add the butter in cube by cube. Again, that's about 2/3 of a stick, a little bit less than half a cup of butter. So 4 in, and then we're going to also add the sugar. These go in the sink. So, there's no heat underneath this, so the butter might take just a little bit to melt, but that's okay, because before we can add this to our egg mixture, which we're gonna go over next, this has to come to room temperature and cool down quite a bit. So, this recipe isn't hard, but it does take a little bit of time as far as waiting. There's a couple long waits when you're letting the dough rise, and there's a bit of a wait now when you're letting this milk and butter mixture cool. So this is one of those things that you can definitely do other activities during this baking process. All right, well, I'm gonna keep stirring this and get this all dissolved in, and once it's cool, we're gonna get it combined with the eggs and the yeast, which is starting to foam up a little bit more than before. So when all that's ready, we'll meet back here and get it all together. All right, see you soon. Hey there, so back to our stand mixer. So for this, if you don't have a stand mixer, again, you could use a hand mixer, but it's gonna be a lot more difficult. If your hand mixer happens to have a dough hook attachment, that will help out quite a bit. So for our stand mixer, using the dough hook, pop it in. Actually, you know what? Let me do this halfway. So right off the bat, we're gonna put the entire milk and butter and sugar mixture that has cooled into the mixer, and then to that we're gonna add the yeast, which has bloomed in the water. And lastly, we're going to add 2 whole eggs that have been lightly beaten. All right. And to that, we're going to take half the flour. So we have 4 cups. So we're going to put 2 cups in to start. We're going to get that going. And once that's fully combined, we're going to add the remainder in halves. And I'll explain what I mean once we get there. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Seems like about half. Maybe a little bit more. Right, so what I mean is once this is all combined, we're going to add flour 2 more times. So half and then half again. So that's all in there. Then make the attachment on. right, and you know what? Last, a nice pinch of salt. So, you know, probably about 1/3 of a tablespoon to go into that. All right, so on it goes. On a low setting, you don't want it to fly everywhere. So now that everything has mixed together, we're gonna turn this off. We're gonna lower the bowl, and we're gonna add half of the remaining flour. As best we can. If you have to, you can remove the attachment, but I'm just gonna go for it. And that's about half. So up goes the bowl, and on goes the mixer. So you wanna keep mixing this until it's pretty much smooth. It's not until the last bit of flour that this is going to kind of pull together and it's going to look more like a dough. It's going to resemble a dough. At this point, it kind of looks like a thick pancake batter. So that's a good idea. Maybe we'll do some special pancakes on one of these vlogs. So all right, I'm going to add the last bit of flour to this. So turn it off. And spoon press that in. We're gonna get this mixed, and then I'm gonna scrape down the sides and then give it another mix. And if it looks too wet, I might add a little bit more flour, but I think we might be right where we want. So, all right, I will see you back here when the dough is ready to come out. So our dough ended up being a little wet. So what I did is I added about a half a cup more flour, and now it looks exactly where we want it. It does look a bit sticky, but it is kind of pulling off the sides. And I'm going to probably add a little bit more flour to it in the kneading process. So from here, I'm just going to stop it and transfer it into a bowl and let it rest. So here's what you're looking for. I know it looks a bit sticky, but this is correct. So to this, I had to add actually even one more half cup. So to your starting recipe, instead of 4 cups, I think it should be 5. So let's get this into a bowl and let it rest and let the yeast do its job and get it all risen up. All right. Okay, so the dough has come together, and in a lightly oiled bowl, I have, it's a little bright. Here we go. I have put the dough in there. I'm going to cover it with a tea towel, just gently cover it like that. And now it's a waiting game. About an hour minimum. 2 hours would be better. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to check the dough, see how it's risen. I might give it a fold. Giving it a fold about halfway through just helps develop a little bit more structure in the dough. I might even do that twice if I do go for the full 2 hours rather. The full 2 hours of letting this rise. It's worth doing, so I think that's what we're going to do. So after the first 30 minutes, come check it, fold it, let it rest another 30, do it again, and then we'll probably just let it rest until we're ready to shape our rolls and our cinnamon rolls. So, all right, I'll meet you back here, and we'll have some fun. Okay, so the dough has risen for about an hour and a half. I folded it twice, about 30 minutes in, and then about 45 minutes after that, and then I let it just kind of rest to get to this point. So I'm gonna flour my countertop, pretty well. This is a pretty sticky dough, so you want there to be a fair amount on there, as well as on your hands. So that. Okay. So I'm gonna take it out, divide it in half. I have 2 9-inch cake pans that I'm gonna use for both recipes. So let me just dump that out. That's nice. Flip it over so both sides get some flour. It's a very, very soft dough, and you don't want to overwork it. So that's good. Okay, divide it in half. One half we're just gonna set off. Actually, back into the bowl where it was resting. We'll cover it back up. and we'll come back to that when we're making the cinnamon rolls. All right. From here, we're gonna take this dough and we're gonna divide it into probably, I'd say 5 to 6, pieces about, that size. If you were to weigh it, that would probably weigh, I'd have to guess about maybe like 5 to 6 ounces. So, all right, so 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that gave us 5 pieces, which that's fine. These are gonna proof up again, so we're gonna put them in the pan, which I need to actually rub some butter on. So I'm gonna go get that ready, and I will meet you back here when this is ready and the dough is headed in. Okay, so what I did, I took some oil. This is actually oil that I did a project a couple weeks ago where I had to fry a bunch of shallots that I used as a topping. So when I was done with that, I strained some of the oil off, kept that, and again, it's like saving the rendered sausage fat from the other day. Saving things like that just allow you to introduce flavor in a more kind of a creative way when you have things like this at your disposal. So I greased the inside of the pan, took the pieces of dough, rolled them up nicely but gently into little balls, and from there we're actually just going to let it rest. That they are a bit oily, so I'm not going to use my tea towel. I'm just going to get a piece of saran wrap and gently drape it, and probably about 20 minutes let it rise, and then it'll be ready to oil on the top, maybe a little salt, and then into the oven. All right, so I'm going to get that ready and resting on the side, and then we'll come back and we'll handle the cinnamon roll side of this stuff. So, all right, I'll be right back. All right, so as you can see, the dough has about doubled in size. I actually some of the pieces had proofed or risen so much that I was able to make one more roll from it. So the pan is actually completely full, and we are ready to go into the oven. So first, I'm going to actually brush these with a little bit more of the shallot oil, and then I'm going to do a little bit of sea salt on top, and then into the oven they go. All right, so our rolls are done. They just came out of the oven, as you can see. Looking really nice. What I'm gonna do actually is take that same paper towel that I used before with the oil, and I'm just gonna, there's still a bunch on there, so I'm just gonna go around and give it just a little bit more of a dab, because why not? Gives it a nice bit of a shine, so. Alright, let's take a look at that. How great does that look? I mean, seriously, these are going to be so perfect. We're finishing up the zuppa toscana from a few nights ago, and it didn't make it a week. I was hoping that would be enough soup for the whole week, but no, that's not the case. But it was delicious, and this is kind of a way to make the last bit of it a bit more special. So once this cools a little bit more, I'm gonna pull the whole thing out and then just pull apart these sections and enjoy my meals.